You know why? There's nobody just jumping on the box for it cut out.
I don't
Doing that anyway.
You know what, I remember 4 years before it,
Convention.
Yeah.
We had that moment.
no, no.
Yeah, but it came when.
And Harris was a real disappointment.
She's against the wall. Didn't come in the ring, she did. I mean, she's, I mean, think about it,
that's
her
the other
position in
speaker.
time,
Oh,
space.
yeah.
I mean, everybody's
Count.
thinking about everything. I mean, how things listen, over here, look at me. You know?
Too early.
Great.
Yeah, ask permission.
Very early.
What's that?
Oh, it's a video, not photograph.
But it doesn't
I
like
really
me.
like Coaching. But when he ran, Carl ran right against him, I was like a corner. We would have lost, but I think Connor would have done better.
I don't know, he's too gentleman. You know, I'd like him to get a little bit of edge to him. You know, he's just too nice. Because he's been tested.
But
He hasn't like turned into an idiot.
he has cancer.
Yeah, yeah.
He can go to the conservative side.
That was hateful. He right now. Make himself more known. Oh, yeah. Greene County, yeah, the yeah.
We've got a couple. I mean,
The one that's right next, the one back there is called.
yes, yes.
Right.
Wasn't he changing careers out there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've been calling for a while. But no, it could have been.
I can't really like.
where you're gonna be speaking from into the camera back there. You're on. Oh, it's the, if you wanna move over this way, if you wanna show your face, you can come over this way a little bit more. Okay. Okay. Hey Matt, we're gonna get started. Let's go. Hi everybody for tuning in tonight. My name is Philip and I'll be doing the introductions. And we're in rare form tonight. We're actually having the speaker first and then our business meeting second. And so we actually have a dual header for you tonight of two speakers. We'll have Sandy Mansman presenting first, and she'll be representing Washington County and Landmarks Foundation. And then shortly when she concludes, we'll have a local artist and author called Colleen Nelson also presenting. And I'd like to introduce you to Sandy Mansman, please.
Hello, everybody. Okay, I'm from Washington County History and Landmarks. Our building that we occupy for our headquarters is located on the county fairgrounds at Arden. Here's our brochure. We have brochures up here for our organization and also ones we put together for various elements, buildings in the county. I was asked to speak on properties on the National Register in Washington and in the county at large, and what might be open to the public and what might be threatened. And that's Colleen, and I read all your articles in the local paper. Oh, thank you, Greene County paper. We still have one. Okay, I don't know what Greene County has done, so I'm just going to mention a couple of things that we did that we found very helpful. In the late 1990s, we did a countywide survey of historic structures, and that was due to, at that time, threats from long wall mining and also road construction. Well, there's been a lot more road construction since the 1990s, we all know. So we have volunteers that we train in teams of 2 to adopt a township in Washington County, not their own township because they won't see anything. You don't see where you live. You don't see all the historic things. You go someplace else and go, oh, look at that. So anyway, with all that information, we've got extensive survey material on structures in Washington County. Books after books after books, photos and descriptions. But basically what I concentrate on is the log cabins, log houses that we have. Mostly because we're talking archaeology and what better place to do digs than near log cabins. If the log cabins are moved, if you have permission, you should move them right away and do a dig. That's where you're going to find the earliest stuff. Okay. We have also talked about the National Register. If you really you can get qualified or eligible to be on the National Register, and that's basically submitting the forms like the ones we found on the when we did the survey. But if you want to get listed on the National Register, it's a much bigger project. It costs money to hire someone who really knows what they're doing, and there's no guarantee it will be accepted. But and it offers a little protection when we're talking federal, state funds that might somehow impact that particular property. If you really want to know what's open to the public, and I would think most of you do know in Washington, the courthouse and the jail and Lemoyne House, Bradford House, those are the better known ones. WHA, some of their buildings on campus there. And there are several right on Main Street. Right now, maybe there's a restaurant in there. Obviously, it's a public facility and you can walk through. There were some other ones that weren't so obvious, and one was out in Prosperity, Morris Township, right across from your Morris Township. And unfortunately, the Moonlorn, the Malcolm Parcell studio and home out in the country was severely damaged. I don't even drive out there anymore because it upset me so much, but I don't know what its fate is now. And then in the historic districts, that would include like Scenery Hill, so you could have Century Inn, little shops out there. They're all public places to visit. So back to the logs. The one that I know that's listed on the National Register is actually this one story. And when the historic preservationist went out to write up for the National Register, he said, oh, yeah, that's a nice log house, but he wasn't interested in it. He said it's another log house, even though it's the earliest one past west of Fayette County. He was interested in the gardens, and that's what got it on the National Register. Who would ever think?
The gardens.
Gardens.
What was so good about the garden?
They were started in the 20s. They've been maintained. I haven't read the whole, I mean, there's qualifications like that, and I brought it with me. I haven't read it yet. But anyway, apparently, the original plantings, you know how daffodils are probably there for 100 years. Sometimes they survive when all the structures are gone. You say, oh, yes, that's where the farmhouse was. So anyway,
Can I ask a question?
sure.
Is there anything, is it empty or do they have things inside of it?
This one right here,
Yeah.
we have an event coming up,
Excuse me, oh, you have an event coming
and
up.
you're going to be invited, or
Okay.
you are invited. In October,
At that place,
at this log.
okay.
Is that the
And
Covered
beautiful
Bridge
grounds.
Festival?
Pardon?
At the Covered Bridge Festival? No.
This is one of our personal,
Oh, okay.
okay, part of our programming, because we're talking about the history of agriculture, et cetera. And
Okay.
new board member, Nancy Marshall, is the owner of this. It's gone through her family, a couple generations. And that event will be held Sunday, October 18th, beginning at 1 o'clock. We try to do, right after church services, we do an event, so people can get home for dinner too.
Where is that?
In Cecil Township. And you'll have to, I'll give you directions because it's a little hidden. But it was threatened by the turnpike, or the Mount Valley Expressway. And they actually had to move the expressway to accommodate her property.
Saved by a garden.
If you are interested in attending, I would somehow gather your, well, I'll just send something to Greene County Historical Society and the Archaeological Group,
Okay.
and then you can decide.
Maybe I should write a story.
Pardon?
Maybe I should write a story.
Yeah.
That's usually how it works.
And I'll proofread it.
You will.
You put it in a newspaper? Where's it go,
Green.
newspaper, honey?
I belong to an art association, and 2 of our members come up from Greene County, and she brings me the Greene scene every time she remembers you,
Who
because she
is
knows I'm interested in reading it.
Well, who comes up? I probably know them.
Ann Sappington? I don't think,
I've heard her name. She's from Greene County.
they drive an hour to come to our art class.
What kind of art do you do?
It's a variety. I do oil painting,
Oh, cool.
mostly of historic structures, because that's my love. Okay, so Nancy Marshall, and it's called Tomahawk Lane Log, and the gardens are the one that brought it into the National Register. So it's a very interesting entry and why it is on the National Register. Our own experience in Washington County with archaeology especially is that there were 2 old log houses. One was turn of the century, 1800, and it was a potter's home, early home. And you could see shards of the pottery, you could see where the outdoor kiln, the fire, I mean, stuff was obvious there. And then the owners decided that Mary Ann Long lived there, or had it for a long time and kept it up, and then she passed away and her son became the primary caregiver. I don't think he cared quite as much. And they just didn't, they were gonna donate it because they didn't wanna have to take care of it anymore. You donate it if you moved it. So I tried to keep it in the township, that didn't work out, but Mingo Creek Park is right down the street. So I thought county can afford it, put it as one of the nice structures, the local structures. But when they did move it, it became nothing to do with pottery. It's a Boy Scout log. It doesn't look anything. I mean, they use the logs, but it's nothing like what it used to be, which is very sad. But I was trying to get a hold of Mr. Nass here to come and do a dig.
In the original site.
Yeah.
When was the
Oh,
structure dates to when?
probably, the construction, 1800.
Okay, so
It's in
about
our
18,
preserving our past.
probably they made, I would assume that they probably made redware.
I know there were shards and they had
The
some,
stoneware was a pretty, you needed a pretty, you know,
this is the log
kiln.
that was there,
yeah.
actually two logs. So the potters and this garage door had been added and then they luckily put back was the original style, I guess you'd say.
What is still, after the structure was moved, what happened to the loft?
To the logs?
I mean, the loft.
Oh, the lot, it's still.
So, and nothing's been built on it.
I mean, we'd
Well,
have to,
I would like to take a look at
yeah, we'd like you to take a look at it.
it, because, we've been looking for redware,
Okay.
potters. They're very difficult to find. The stoneware ones, everyone knows about, like Greensboro
Right.
and so on, but redware potters are really hard to find because they weren't big operations.
It just says earthenware pottery.
Yeah. So I'm almost positive that's what they made.
I would like to suggest that maybe you go cold and ask permission. I'll give you all the, because when we parted ways, it probably wasn't very friendly. Throw you into the fire. So to speak.
Well,
Yeah.
neutral, you know, party there.
Was I supposed to be standing?
Now you're in good place.
Okay, so anyway, this is a conglomeration of the log structures we have found. Some of them will say, what, that doesn't look log to me. There's either something in there or near there. Like this one I thought was West Middletown, and the county tore that down. And we went down into the basement before, and I've never seen logs as big as what was there, ever. So there's a good heritage of logs in various stages of disrepair. A lot that have been saved and people appreciating. Here's our brochure on the logs, and anything in any of these brochures are photos we've taken of local structures there. So, there's something. The other brochures we have right here, as I say, are all products, byproducts, I guess you'd say, of the survey we did. Because I take photos everywhere I go, luckily, I guess. So what we did, we started with the logs, then we go to the farmhouse, and then the barn, the outbuildings, which people still don't know a lot about. You know, if you look at a building, what was its use? And so we try to explain it in there. And then our one-room schoolhouses that we still thought the landscape. And the last one was historic churches, which I only have two brochures with me, but.
This is all Washington County?
And years ago, we put together a booklet. This is 2012-13. It's called the Heritage Alliance of Southwestern PA, of which I spent a year scraping to get all these people included. And what we said is that we went over the borders because unless there's a dividing line, a great big orange line like they have on the football fields, how do you know when you're in Washington County or Greene County? And we're related. And so somebody stepped over that border and built, continued building and expanding. So Greene County was involved, and we also did a couple going up to just over the border of Allegheny County, Westmoreland County, to show how we're related. We are related. And of course, the family names, you'll see that they're, I think Morris, every Morris must own a tavern. Lots of taverns. New Jersey too. Preserving our past, let's have, this was for the bicentennial, and then we sold all the originals, and this is the second version, but it's not just the photos in here, but the gentleman that put it together. His wife was the photographer, and he really knew what he was talking about.
So Sandy, I got a question for you. What sparked the need to form the Washington Landmarks Society? Yes.
That's a good question. No, I was one of the first that joined, but somebody had to be interested. Well, there were a lot of people interested
Yeah.
in the
How
historic
many years ago?
structures,
Yeah.
but it took a person or two to actually say, then maybe we need to do something about it. One
Right.
who was very dominant was she headed the Washington Greene Tourism
Oh, so, all right.
back when we were closer related.
Yeah.
What was her name?
You know, my brain, Charlotte Lane,
And,
goes back a ways. 1970s, early 70s.
That's what I'm saying, because
Okay.
before we became a rural tourism place, we were in with the Yakagani people, and they kind of ignored us.
Oh, yeah, you gotta watch those Yakagani people.
Yeah,
These are
they were like,
Yakagani.
what's going on down there? They're not in the mountains. You know, we're like, but I didn't realize we had any tourism directors till very recently. There must have been,
It was actually 1972,
yeah.
and now in 71, a group met at the Century and talked about it. And then it became
That makes
sort of
sense.
formal in 72. And it was Washington Greene when Charlotte Lane was in charge, and where it's split, I'm not sure, but I know you have your own tourism in Waynesburg, right?
Yeah, I think when we started getting the hotel taxes, it became something we could do. So it was actually money then.
Right.
Yeah. So you think it was kicked off by the bicentennial? Because there was a lot of energy down here in the 70s. People were like making colonial clothing.
Oh, wow.
Judge Terry Grimes and his wife were like in full dress, you know? And there was just a lot of stuff going on because the entire United States was gearing up for its
Right.
bicentennial.
Well,
I
I
just
think if you
remember.
look back at local histories, a lot of publications were made through this bicentennial.
mm-hmm.
Thank
Yeah.
goodness, because that's where, you have someone living in that area that's really talking about that area, they know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Forward group. It's very spontaneous how people come together like that. You know, something draws them together and then it happens.
Yeah.
Even like you folks, you know, what got you interested in archaeology?
For me, I met a lot of these guys through California where I went to school, little Cal, and I met through a couple colleagues of ours, his name was Mark, and he got me interested and helped out with one of my classes and did a project for him, and I met him down in Brownsville doing an archaeology dig.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I found a couple of stone, what I consider tools that nobody else will agree with me, all those people there, and it's just like rock. See, it's a woman's tool because it fits my hand perfectly. You can see fingerprints on this side and a big thumbprint on this side, and they're honed to a point, two of them. I had potbelly pigs that, if you know potbelly pigs, you should have a team for digs, because they sure do dig. Anything below ground was now on top. And I saw these two. I said, well, they look almost the same. And then I picked them up and it was like, wow, they fit my hand. So it was, I don't know, digging tool or going into food, I don't know what it was, but anyway.
If
so-
it fits your hand, you know, you usually find something to do with it. Even chimpanzees, I mean, it's almost like the natural, does it fit? You know, and then you use it.
And sometimes you just look at it, and then you can almost recognize it's unnatural. Like, like the shape could be a little bit
Yeah.
unnatural for how it's been worked and that kind of stuff.
One of our early programs was, and our plaques didn't look quite like this back then. They were wooden, but
Yeah.
then we started manufacturing these, or having them manufactured. And it's, even people who don't think they're interested in historic structures or history landmarks, they have a house that's old and they want a plaque on it. Like East Washington is like, you would know.
It's
I-
pretty.
Yeah, I know a bunch of them, but
Yeah.
I want to get one on our house. I've been
See,
talking
Did I
about
shame
that.
you into it by talking about East Washington?
I'm sorry?
Did I shame you into it?
No, I would like,
He doesn't-
Yeah, I wanna
he's
get one.
ashamed.
So anyway, it's a good income for us, modest income, but it's a good income, it's steady. But more importantly, that's how we get the histories of these properties. We know they're there, but if the homeowners aren't interested, you
Right,
can't
and
force
also
it.
tell the
you know.
story.
So,
it's forgotten.
Yeah.
yeah, East Washington is very aware of who they are.
There's one on our borough building.
I
One
remember,
of-
because I
one of
took it
those.
over.
Sandy, has anyone, maybe they have, or maybe you told me this, but I just don't remember for certain. I know in Fayette County, Joyce Stewart has been on a campaign where she's been developing little apps
Okay.
and put them on all the buildings
Mhm.
of historic, of, like a courthouse, some of the churches,
If
that
you're-
date back into, that are post, 1900. And, there's a little brochure you can get from the Chamber of Commerce. You can walk around and you basically, you know,
Yeah,
you read it with your phone.
I've seen.
And I didn't know if
This
that's
is the QR
something,
codes, is that what we're
Yeah.
talking?
I didn't know if that was something that you ever thought about doing for
I
some
think
of your,
we talk about it, but we don't have a staff at all. You'd think after how many years that we've been in existence, we'd have at least a staff person we've done. And our board, the gentlemen like to do the physical stuff, manual, but not anything that's organizational. Trying to be kind there, and I, for probably 20 years, have been a volunteer coordinator, meaning I'm not coordinating volunteers, I'm volunteer my time as a coordinator, just so all the different interests on our board can look like we're organized. Doesn't work.
Those medallions I've seen.
Yes,
Accomplished a lot.
well, we have, but we're not modernized at all. No technology. Yes, sir.
How many people do you have in your organization currently, like volunteers and board members?
Well, membership up until, I think about a year and a half ago, I said, you know, I'm not volunteer coordinator for life, so I'm gonna step back and let everybody do their jobs. And since then, not a whole lot has been done. We've done newsletters, we don't have a list of members. All our membership fees just sort of faded away. I guess they thought we died because we didn't communicate. You don't communicate.
Right.
So right now, we actually have a board meeting tonight that I'll be racing to. We are sending out a postcard to say we want everybody to go online. For those that can't, you can't drop people. A lot of the older people don't have access, and they're some of the most loyal and knowledgeable. So, anyway, Caldwell's Atlas is the other one. You have Greene County Caldwell's Atlas, right? Somebody?
I'm certain
Matt
they
here?
do.
Yeah.
Okay. That
here,
was
no.
another one. It's been
Matt
a
knows all about that.
very successful fundraiser. This is just a mini sample because I don't want to carry the big one around with me. We had access to a couple really dilapidated Caldwells that we weren't going to resell the Caldwells because they were so bad. One of our members, who actually knew what she was doing, took the pages out carefully, took them to the printer to get them copied, or the original page itself, and put them in a Mylar container with a styrofoam, whatever you call it, that foam board behind it. Sort of didn't mount it on, just put tape across it so it would stay with it. And they are very, very popular. You know, there's pictures in there of old farms. There's also the townships, which people really like. And once you located just modern streets, then you can pick out where your property is. It happens to be a couple hundred years old.
So you're selling them?
We sell them, and not really, most of them are just around $35, $35, $40, depends on what it is, which isn't a bad price. And people love to buy them for gifts for other people.
Is
They have
one,
them framed,
was it the entire book or is it just one page?
one page.
Gotcha.
So the whole book, what would you pay? And these can be reprints, they don't have to be the originals.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you're making a decent amount of money, but you're not costing the individual a lot. So, just to let you know, it's a good project. All right. Okay, the archaeology part of it, we really, really, really would like you to, if we find other sites, somebody, who do we call? John?
Well, if it's in Washington County, either, so I live in Fayette, who to call either first would be either Carl or Doug.
No.
And then,
Yeah, you could call
and then they can get in touch with me because
Yeah.
they're local.
You're Fayette.
Yeah.
I know you were at Cal, so I assumed you were in
Yeah.
Washington County, I guess.
I live outside of Uniontown.
for a minute.
Well, I'll probably call Doug, because I know where.
Yeah.
Other than to knock on your door if you don't answer your phone.
Yeah, where do you live?
What?
Where do you live?
84,
Okay,
right near Mango Park,
all right.
Okay.
in the woods.
Did you bring your card?
I did.
Cool.
Somewhere. Right here.
It sounds like you need some partnerships,
Yes.
you know.
Well, and that was one
just
of
to
the goals this year.
the whole body of
We
information.
need to reconnect with all different, so we've been trying to do many visits, like just our board went over to Jefferson College Historical Society, and, oh my gosh, we've applied for a grant where we're gonna use one of those armed readers, where you can put a book under, and it'll scan it, you don't have to flatten the book out. So, and mine, the one I got, just tested, it's under $200. And the gentleman who's the president over there right now said he was gonna get one, he'll try it out and let me know how it goes. And I think he said he got 1,000 pages in an hour or something like that. I mean, that's
Yeah.
quick work. And when you have old documents and books, you don't wanna have to flatten them.
No,
And
you
this
don't.
oversees the
Crack.
hump and everything, but I don't, you know.
Do you have one and you need another one, is that what you're saying?
No, I need to know how to do it.
Oh,
Use it.
oh, wow,
Yeah.
back to school, huh?
My brain doesn't want to go there, but we'll have to, if anyone uses it, of course. You'd have to use my personal phone number and email, because
Okay.
that doesn't work anymore.
So you have a cell phone, huh?
Sometimes I know how to use it, but not.
You'll get the hang of the 21st
I had
century,
a
it's kind of
wonderful flip phone, that was great. Because all it was for a phone, until my son decided that I needed a smartphone. And I'm in the car going, you stupid thing,
Yeah.
why not you?
Don't touch me, I'll do something. I have a touch
Yeah.
screen and it's like, it's always dull.
Well, it just, it knows I don't like it, so it tries harder not to work. But anyway, okay.
They take good pictures.
Yeah, well, I do take pictures. Anything we need to know about anything here? Do you know where your log cabin, has anybody done, well, it's not you, I guess it would be the Historical Society, to do survey and anything
I
done?
do not know what they've done, what Matt and his crew have done beyond, you know, the boundaries of the museum's property. I know that this pretty much keeps them busy.
Right.
Busy,
all
So
the
you
time.
don't need,
Seems like Greene County has a huge number of log cabins, a lot of them.
Yeah, they're covered with insul brick or whatever.
Yeah.
But you can tell by the, they will say,
well, you can read them off. We went out to Cross Creek. I had a companion, he was supposed to take the pictures, I was driving, and it was right near where Cross Creek Lake, and there's a bait shop. You go in as you enter the area. And I said, look at that. That looks like it should be a stone house, because it was narrow and very tall,
Yeah.
but it's sided. I said, it can't be. So anyway, we go into the bait shop to start asking questions, and the woman says, oh yeah, that's a stone house. Here, I have a picture of it. I thought, well, you know, after a while, you do read the buildings by the shape, the size, whatever.
Yeah,
And I was very proud of myself on that one.
yeah.
But why would they put wood siding on a stone house?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I've seen it a few times, I just
Yeah.
think they don't want
She said
stone.
modernizing it, modernizing it.
Yeah. I think that's generally what they do.
Cover it with plastic siding.
Make it
A little bit
Maybe.
warmer, that's true.
I guess it's easier than chinking.
Well, Dave has taken a few log cabins and reassembled them, and he lives in them. Yeah, because there was, in the 70s, the state came down and started buying up old farms to create the state game lands. And they would just go in and bulldoze and burn those houses down. You can ask Dave, because he would go in and, what was the word, pilfer? You get the door frames that, you know, finally get the old.
Salvage was the word,
Yeah.
salvage.
You should see his house.
That's a very common thing to do today,
Yeah.
if they're gonna be demolished anyway,
Yeah,
is
well,
to,
the materials they use are still good for another 100 years, probably. You put up,
The beams that thick.
I personally know some Bryants, so I'm not trying to put them down, but those houses will not be repaired.
our church, we got rid of the manse a few years ago, which was next to Trinity Church in Uniontown. And it was built around 1903, and they never spared any expense in that place. On the third floor, which was the minister's study, you know, the bookshelves were all built right into the walls. They're all mahogany. And so the people who came in to do, so we had somebody come in who, you know, paid the church some money to come in and strip everything out of it.
Cool.
And, I mean, there was a lot of wood in there, you know, wainscoting, you know, downstairs and stuff.
That hurts.
And stained glass windows in it. And then after they were finished, down it came. But that's what you have to do because
Well, I mean, when he
otherwise
stripped
it
it,
would be-
he stripped it to save it, to use it.
Right.
yes, they will then sell it to you or you
Right,
or you or whomever. That's what they do is they take parts from door frames, you know, fireplaces and things. They really couldn't take the fireplaces out because it was just not practical. But everything else, you know, can be sold to people who are renovating homes or
Good, you're
like you
getting
see in
good quality
HGTV,
material.
looking for materials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The brochure we did on the churches, there are a ton of old churches. Most of them, when we got up there, they might have one service per year because they're all dwindling and they're beautiful buildings. And the cost to just keep them from falling down is terrible. It's very sad to talk to these people who, you know, a lot of
Greene
them.
County has that too, a lot of churches that are empty or.
Yeah, well, it's the times.
Well,
So-
sometimes people move into them,
Yeah.
make them into
Yeah.
homes.
And the one in Brownsville is
Not St. Peter's.
it's the Jewish temple. It's now synagogue.
Synagogue,
It's now a gun shop and a
Wow,
computer repair business.
I'm against the
Well,
law.
you kind of balance it out. Left brain, right.
I guess there's one church near our house, it's on 18.
Oh, yeah, all the.
Holbrook.
It's,
Well, that's
it's,
where
it
he
has some kind of beautiful.
and the other one that comes to the art class are from Holbrook.
What's her name?
Yeah.
Sappington.
Ann Sappington, I got it right there.
Colleen,
and
she
she-
knows an artist that you don't know.
I know, I'm
What
shocked.
is going on?
Shocking,
What is
shocking.
going on?
Ann
I don't
Sappington.
believe it.
But I mean, to see Holbrook basically disappeared, right?
Yeah.
There's a church,
Didn't have, no matter what it was.
somebody takes care of that church in
Oh,
Holbrook.
the church is
And
still
I'm
pretty
thinking of
viable.
the one on the hillside near where you turn off 18 to our house.
Bethany.
Bethany is a gorgeous little church. What's neat about
But
Bethany
now it's a
is
great
sitting on this hill overlooking the Warrior Trail and the world's biggest gas compression station, which just appeared overnight like a mushroom, that just ripples across the hills like a serpent. It's huge, and it's all sitting on the Warrior Trail, this gorgeous church, and then this startling example of the 21st
Oh, it's
century.
huge. Go to Mark West in, where are they? Chartiers? No.
Yeah.
Wherever it is. It looks like you're on the moon.
Yeah, you
It's
do.
scary. I mean, if something went,
It happens every once in a while.
community would have.
This is, I inherited part of our family farm in Lawrence County. It's north 100 miles. But I'm building a little house and I was digging and I found a rock about this big and it looked like a turtle shell.
To a turtle.
Well, it looked like it had carvings on the outside, but I don't know who to call.
These guys.
Yeah, you don't know at all.
I'll go along with that. What do you think it is? Because
Well,
those
and
guys
then
will say
shortly after, I found a rock shaped like a turtle head. And then I found more rocks that were shaped like turtle legs.
So you're doing a sculpture.
So, and it's it's on the top of a slope overlooking an old pond. And there's snapping turtles in that pond.
Don't be laughing at her.
And there's a lot of arrowheads in that field, so.
See, now you got their attention. Well, what amazed me is some of the reading I've done is there's like mounds everywhere, according to the old, like they'll say, on this farmer's hill is a mound. And they would poke around a little bit and find stuff. And I just heard about Indians who would bury their dead sitting up, surrounded by their artifacts. And that's a book I brought with me tonight, because that's a story I'm working on right now. I'm amazed. town has these unusual Indian
I think I'll be very
burials and stuff
standing.
that was reported back in the 1910, 1920, when people still remembered that they were talking about what they found in them. And I found this man who had saved all that information. So, that's the story I'm working on. And I wanted to tell you guys before I write it. Yeah, that's all right. I'll show you the book. It's very rare. It was written in
Ron Mangus, he's on our board, this appeared on the business.
Partial cremation now is the Meadows Mound,
Yeah.
carbon
That
dated
goes
2,000
back.
years old.
85 or 6.
Oh, yeah.
A little older than you.
There was a time, it was, what, early eighties, where the group of us called one.
Well, I know, a lot of them got moved. A
Yeah,
lot
where
of
was
went to Washington County.
There's a guy, Gary Cole. He was the biggest guy that moved, probably more than anybody else in the area.
I think they thought they were saving them if they moved them, so.
Well, you had to because
Oh,
coal
he
company was
moved
taken.
some, he saved some, but, you know, he saved a lot of houses.
Yeah.
I don't agree with a lot of his techniques, but he's able.
I don't know what I've covered and what you wanted.
No, that's fine, I mean, you
question.
have. I was just gonna say, if there's anything you want to, me to pass out or to leave here.
Well, I have.
Because we don't know
Come up and see what
what's
you
your
want.
timetable getting back.
It is
to
quarter
Washington.
till 6.
5, it's 4 to 6. Is
We'll
why.
be leaving.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Years ago, somebody gave me in 1910 Washington County history. It was pretty well, the cover was pretty well deteriorated. I would give it away,
Is it,
but someone would have to send it to a place like Morton's Bookbinding to get it rebound.
is it forced?
I believe it is,
So it's
1910,
close to 1910.
yeah.
It's a very, very good history. It's 3 volumes though.
Well, I have one
Volume
volume, it's about that thick.
Unless they divided it later. Not McFarland. McFarland is a very fat one, but I don't think it was
What
that
is
late.
it? What is the book?
Washington County history,
Oh, yeah, there was
1910.
one printed in the, I want to, maybe
Can
late
you-
20s or something.
Yeah. When I
Nope.
worked
Herb
in-
Forst was the most recent, and he really has great history.
The 30s?
Late
20s.
20s. Okay.
Yeah.
Can you see what it is? And then try to look and see if you can identify it?
Oh, yeah, I did.
I'll raise my hand.
It would need to be rebound. Now, when I worked at Cal U, we used to send that stuff out to places like Bookbound, but it was pretty expensive, you know, to have that stuff rebound. But I'll give it away. I'd rather give it to somebody than throw
I
it
would
away.
take it unbound because I really want the history in it. And I have bound copy that I'm trying not to handle too much. So if you had an unbound one, I want it for the information in it.
Well,
I used
I'll
to
give
do
it. I don't know if, whether it's forced, I'd have to look at it again. I haven't looked at it all the time.
You'd be getting it to the right place.
Pardon me?
You'd be getting it to the right
Yeah,
place.
somebody's.
All right,
done it.
everybody, we're gonna take a brief intermission now while we set up for Colleen Nelson and her presentation next. So we're gonna keep this live, just bear with us for about 5 or so, maybe plus minutes, and we'll be back on for our next speaker. Thank you.
Cookie jars.
My question is, are we gonna have a lot of volume?
By the county.
There's a couple of things I want to bring up.
About this one in Washington, I'd like to take a look, because I'm certain that's what they're making is resident. Okay, oh, we always do, we have no,
John, are we gonna have a chapter meeting tonight?
yeah, one more speaker.
All right. But there's a couple of things I want to bring up.
I will hold. These are really nice places, Cindy. Said your posters are really nice, I'm glad you have all.
Yeah, take it.
Heck,
That- Oh, I have my little business cards.
oh,
With flags and everything, I hand them out on the election day.
I'm ready for office.
Oh, yeah, here. Stand by the site and just, there you go.
Okay, so if she's not gonna take all of
Whatever she has, I can take.
No, I got so many issues, I don't even think about it anymore.
But I've got one, yeah. It's like, they said it's like, well, it's right through here. It's from, right through here, up through here. And, I'm pretty aggravated playing.
Hey, John, you wanna, Doug, you wanna help
You know
me
what,
move
don't do that.
Colin's table
We
then?
can just bring everything off the table, put it on our table.
Okay.
Wow, who stole all this stuff? Yeah, please take
These are available.
whatever you need.
You wanna go through that other door to your left and go back, and you'll see them on the right. Keep going past the first door you'll see, and then it'll be on the right.
I think I might admit.
This man.
Which John you're talking about?
John Ness.
I've never met him.
Oh.
Yeah,
Wonderful photos.
I met this guy.
And I take him to my art class, I love it.
Here's one,
Carl!
Boy, I can't get rid of it.
You can't, wow, Carl, you're famous. Where's Carl?
Carl is the face of our.
He is the face of the chapter, yes.
He's in every
I
picture.
also invited Frank Fletcher, who is also the face of the park collection.
Okay.
And these are very
Yes. And which issue? Oh, 114.
Here you are.
Keep going.
I know, they put you in the back there.
Hi, Frank. You're not really with the SPA or anything?
they might, I don't know.
Okay, when, so that's possible. Now, you know when this is still left around here, sold? You know when this is turned to be?
Redware ones are very, like I said, they weren't built anything like that.
It's out there, we're fine.
So, because I would like to call it.
2022.
Yeah, it's a quarterly. I've been doing this since 2008.
Oh, wow, okay.
This was the.
Come on, John.
To John.
So we're gonna move the table back so Colleen can bring her table over here.
Okay.
So she can be
I
on.
might be late. Oh.
Yeah, you wanna make sure you're over in front of the camera. Can I throw some?
Most interesting thing I've written about that year.
I don't know, you kind of like my kids in ninth grade, write letters. Let's just move it back here so it's out of the way.
Well,
And we can break it down.
Like, it's a cut stone?
And then, let's grab this one.
there's a mark there.
I'll follow you.
So it's right in front of the camera.
Right?
Perfect.
Who those your cards in on?
If I just pick them up.
Here is, Sandy.
So, gotta be on the bottom.
I know, and they always end up on the bottom.
The first and the last. This is the first issue of this magazine. It was put out in 2008. Lucy Northrup of the North County, and she said, we need a magazine because Washington County has the Washington County magazine.
Lucy Northrup, who does she related to? Anybody we know?
To the Northrops.
Zeus.
Oh! I'm telling you something you didn't know. But it was so cool, she just kind of, yeah, she showed up and we formed a group. That's when we got,
In case you need one, yeah. She said you didn't know who we are. It's getting to be that way, huh? Yeah, words are getting harder to pull out into my mouth. Sometimes it'll be, start with the same letter, and I'll look at myself and go, where did that come from?
2008. And that's kind of when Greene County started to really get its act together, started to coalition.
Carly, all right, everybody, if we can gather back and
Do you need to say something? Okay. I may continue to eat and run, or fly and run.
last call, we can start getting refreshments. Take care of garbage. We'll be gathering for the second presenter here in a few minutes.
Well, that's, yeah, we did that for what, 2-3 years? That was fun. It was nice. Yeah, it was nice. I'll keep us feeding. Feed me, Seymour.
I need to find someone in Orange County.
Where's that?
That's where my land is, where I found my turtle rock.
Oh, just, have you checked up there to see if there's a historical society up there?
There's one in Newcastle, which is in Orange County, I don't know.
Is it in the same county?
But it,
Are there any colleges up there? Like,
New Bloomington, Slippery Rock.
Listen to her talk. All right, we have people coming back in. From the snack room and getting a drink and refreshment. And welcome back again for a second presentation tonight. This is with Colleen Nelson, a local artist, and she's going to be talking about, what are you going to be talking about tonight, Colleen?
Probably all of you.
Okay.
Pretty careful, I'll write a story about you.
And just thanks again to the Greene County Historical Society for allowing the Montauk Chapter Number 3, I am a member of and an officer, allowing us to have these two speakers tonight and to host this location for us. And then anybody at the end of the presentation here physically would want to come talk to me or John Nass about what we do as a chapter with archaeology. Colleen, please.
Hello. I don't know exactly where to start, except to say I've been doing this for a while. Because I moved to Greene County as an outsider, but I was from Allegheny County, and the land is strikingly similar. So, we moved down here in the 70s when we were looking for land, and in our 20s, wanting to get back to the land and try to get your soul free. And we did. People bought land. We met each other at auctions. We said, oh, just like us, and we started co-ops because you couldn't buy organic food. You had to cooperate and work together. So we cooperated and worked together. And all through it, I found myself doing a lot of art. Because, for example, Bud Bean needed his truck painted. It needed to say Bud Bean. And so I gave him the finger because he needed a logo, but he didn't know the word logo. So I got one of those old hands from the turn of the last century. It goes like this. Did you see it, all the old advertising?
yeah.
And I made that his logo. He was so excited because he felt the oldness of it, because he remembered it, and he thought it was so nice on the sign. So I just started, reading to people and offering what I was good at to them. And it just led me on this really wonderful ride. Then, it's funny, I'm one of these people that have read all my life. I would read cereal boxes when I was 5. So I got hired as a visitor because we were going to solve some problems down here in Greene County. Because Jimmy Carter was in, and the grant money was starting to flow into the hinterlands. And we started asking for the grant money to fix some problems we saw down here, like there was no health, there was like very little health care. We didn't have clinics, In a way, the people in the 70s came down here and got all that started because there was a lot of college-educated people that wanted to live here, but they wanted to have health care. They wanted to have some for their kids because they were like starting to have kids. So we invented the Warrior Trail preschool because there was no preschools. It was kind of a collective effort that just plugged right into the community and fit in like a glove. And we just became part of all our neighbors who were the older people who were teaching us how to live on the land again and how to appreciate old log cabins. And so it's a real nice thing to happen. And like Frank over there, he's another one. But he came down as a teacher. And he became a teacher at this obscure little school called West Greene. Taught track because he had long legs. And he taught history because he loved it. And every kid in that school either loved or hated Frank Hunter. He did really good stuff with the 9th graders. Because they're 9th graders, they haven't quite become big people yet. So you can still play with their head. You can teach them about history by just doing hands-on stuff. And Frank would make them build, plague masks out of paper mache to teach them about the plague. Just stuff like that that really works with people.
And the COVID letters.
The COVID letters. He got the kids to write COVID letters, and it was such a good thing. I put it in the magazine. I don't know whether I brought that one. It was the kids, they were so shocked when they had to go home and couldn't be with their friends in school and stuff. Because remember, we went out Friday the 13th, and after that, they were home, and they couldn't go to prom, and they were in shock. And he got his 9th graders to write, when they knew COVID was coming, he got them to write about what they thought it was like. And then he waited how many weeks? Because they were out of school, but they were doing computers. 6 weeks later?
Yeah.
He had them write a letter to themselves telling what it was really like. And these 2 letters, that kids wrote from different sides of their own perspective, I made into a story. And I said, Frank, that is great. So that's the kind of stuff I look for in stories to put in the paper, because they kind of show people that you can do good stuff. Just pay attention. Look around you, have a good time. So I'm kind of a happy person, so all my stuff's happy. But I think it's can be invigorating. Like Lucy Northrup, I was just saying, she came steaming into Greene County, and she said, we're going to have a magazine because everybody else has a magazine. Why doesn't Greene County have her magazine? So we had a magazine, and it was called Greene County Living. And I was writing for the paper, and this was the first magazine we wrote. And then this one is the last one. And here we have Judge Farley Toothman has opened up a hotel cafe. And I want to pass this around. If there's people who hasn't seen it, you got to see the inside of Farley's cafe.
I was there about a week and a half ago. I didn't realize it was only open on Fridays.
Yeah. It's only open on Friday.
Isn't it fun?
We stopped in there for lunch like on a Wednesday.
We
thought, what?
Was he there?
No. Well, then we went downstairs
To the candle place.
candle place, and we didn't make a candle, but we were, looking around there. And
Yeah, there's he took, you talk about archaeology, because Farley ended up with so much stuff, because, his dad was a judge, they lived in big houses, his mother had a gazillion pieces of china from the early 1900s all the way through that she had inherited from other people. He took all this stuff and he glued it to the ceiling. And it's awesome.
I don't know if you looked up, but the Caldwell map is on the ceiling.
Yeah, but I was going to tell him that he took an old Caldwell map and just papered the You know, you can just read every corner of this place and touch the history. You know, it's the stuff people threw away, the old legal briefs, you know. The music room is all old sheet music from the 20s and the 30s, you know.
There's a room for coal miners.
All the coal mining art that you found laying around. And people add to it. So it's just this kind of a spontaneous cultural moment. And I brought it up because I had to yell at the Observer because we don't have any circulation down here anymore out west. And the one thing we could have would be that magazine. Well, there was magazines that I couldn't get my hands on because if you weren't in Waynesburg to buy a copy, you couldn't get the magazine. And so I called Trista Thurston. I said, talk to somebody. And then she did. And now we get a stack like this. And I have to drive to Washington to get them out of the office.
They still make it? Print
They,
this?
they make them in Wheeling, yeah.
Well, that newspaper's really gone downhill. The Notting's bought that. They own
Yeah,
Times.
they're the ones that
And
Mother Earth News.
they don't
too.
care, they don't care.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they even still
Well,
print it.
it's the only way they can get revenue out of us, because, they go, the Chamber of Commerce, they say, wouldn't you like to run a big fat ad in our magazine? And then, Melody Longstreth told them no, because we don't get any magazines, that's why we're getting a stack like this, and she wrote her own column. So, you can work with them. And
Yeah.
some of those young writers are, they put so much on these people because what they cut together was skeleton staff, and so they depend on people like me to write something, you know, that isn't just the news. And so that's why I feel that they gave me this opportunity. Unless somebody was paying me, I wouldn't have done this, you know. And it's nice to be a writer, and I enjoy. I mean, I feel like I'm an archaeologist too, because I dig for stories out of people's heads, you know? And then you compare them, and then you call somebody up and say, did they tell that right? You know, how much do you remember? But that's how you build, you know, the true history of what we're doing moment by moment. You got to remember it. So,
Seems like you do a lot of research with your stories too, like
I
with the
do.
genealogical.
That's what gets to be fun. That's where you guys come in handy, and that's where, what was her name? Sandy. You know, what she does, and what the historical societies do, is they save stuff that you can then go research. You know, if people weren't saving it, I wouldn't have the stuff I would need to write a story about 1922, you know, because I wasn't there. So I really commend all these little historical societies for finding one or two people that would just say, I'm going to do it. And they're usually, kind of the wife of a guy that has a successful business, you know, and she just knows the value of things, and she starts saving it, mainly because she has a lot of it herself. I mean, honestly, this is a pattern. Like Farley's family is such a good example that he found a place to put it, and then the people I have met, they know the value of things and they try to save it. You know, and you need people like that. And you don't want to see historical societies go down when they leave. You know, and case in point is the story I'm writing about now, writing about Masontown. And I just found out by reading this little book. Let me pass this around. This guy lived through the early part of the century, last century, and he has a PhD, and he died in 1962. And most of these stories, there's a lot of stuff in there about Indians that I'll photograph and send you, so you can tell me. There might be something in there you didn't know. But it's a lot of the history of the whole Masontown area. What's that, Fayette County? Right?
Yes.
Yeah,
It's across the river.
right. And then, so what I'll be doing is kind of putting this all aside. I just have it now in, you know, paperback form, you can read it. I don't have to think about it anymore. So I don't have what you call a specialty. You couldn't ask me anything about this and expect me to remember everything. I have to take my story and reread it. You know, because I did the research, put it down as best I can. And so I brought, I had some extra ones if you guys want to. I thought it might be fun take this magazine from 2014, I have extras. And then this one, I had a bunch of extras on this one. I just lucked out. I walked into the observer's office one day and found a stack of them. I grabbed them. This is 2013. So if you want, take them home, read them, and compare like who was advertised in 2013. You know, who was running for office. You know, give yourself a sense of time in our own time. So this is the winner. This is a guy that now lives in West Virginia, but he still taps maple trees. And he's really good at it. And this one has a pretty good story in it. Oh yeah, Jim Weingar. The Weingars were running around painting murals for a few years because he was a good artist. He had, they had the store in Waynesburg. We had a shop, 2 shops in Waynesburg, 1 in Washington. Now they're moving to Chicago.
Chicago?
Yeah, well, outside of Chicago.
You just moved.
No.
But because he did murals, and when I went over to, I got a call from Bob Monjoy, and who's down in Greensboro, because we have a little festival down there that we started, and so they did a mural like 20 years ago, and it needs painted, needs touched up. And so they called me up to do it, so now I have to call Chicago to get a hold of Jim to find out what paint to use, and see if when he comes back this weekend, he'll bring it to me so I can do the mural. So we do still that work. And this is where it really gets deep, because in 2017, I started writing a monthly column. You know, for me, that's pretty regular. And it's called I Love This Place. So I've been writing about every little town you can imagine, every event you can imagine, once a month, 12 months of the year since 2017. So I brought the last 2. You might like to take it home if you're not from Greene County. This one is about Point Marion. So I went down to Point Marion and just saw what they're doing. And it's interesting because they have a history too. And then this one, so I'm kind of working my way east. This one's Mather. This was this little model town, for its time for coal mining and stuff. And they're still alive, so I got to talk to a lot of people. So I got 2 copies of these of each. And one last thing. Probably the first thing I did in Greene County, besides paint Bud Beam's truck, was start the calendar, Greene Country Calendar. This is a hand-screened artifact from 1982. And paper's recycled. It's becoming yellow with age. It's amazing to feel like you're part of history. Yeah. And I hand-screen everything in this, shoot the screen with light, like photosensitive. And then screen every page, hang them up with clothespins till they dry, take them down, get drill presses, drill the holes, take the wood, cut the wood, drill the holes, put the...
Greene County would too.
Yeah, like Dave would get... Well, actually, when we started, this is screen beating from Wayne Lumber. We hadn't met Dave yet. No, he hadn't admitted he could cut it. And so, this... Okay, Dave, what is it? Pop.
Well,
Does
that's
it-
600 of those every year.
He cuts me 600 sticks every year. And now, this place in Morgantown's prints them for me. And this is supposedly the same paper, but as you can see, in 1982 it was thicker.
Could you show them the kind of pictures you draw? Because I think it's a historical document of Greene County.
Well, the reason I picked this one was A, because it was still together. The first year we did them, we cut a little groove in the stick and then jammed them in, and by November they were all falling out, so we learned. But this is, okay,
Oh,
Wait a minute.
wow.
yeah, this is where, like I was saying, we learned from the old folks. We learned how to plow with horses. I mean, we collectively, Wendy and Michael did it more than anybody. They just learned how to use horses, to plow their field. This is January.
Yes.
We also brought some of our bad habits with us, like skiing. Little mixing of. Back when we got snow. Back when we got snow. Okay, here's February. This is Dan Smith. decided that was the year they were gonna make some maple syrup. Yeah.
I'd have cooked it.
Everybody does that once. Oh, this is Dr. Mark's drenching a steer in a stanchion in the back of his pickup truck. Wendy drove door to door with him, farm to farm for like all day to get this photograph that I worked.
You seem to use a lot more ink back in those days.
Well, this is the difference. I'm screening with a blob of ink and I'm going like this, opposed to running it through a computer and then running it through a Xerox machine. So this is the real deal. This was labor intensive.
Ink is.
Think these are Wendy's geese? We were just fascinated with, you know, the beauty of nature. This is the Jollytown Memorial. We were so charmed when we first moved here. We're going, oh wow, look at that. There's this guy in Jollytown with a couple of camels. You know, we were, let's put him in the calendar. He's still there. Jesse Taylor.
You see the
He
addition
was
they
the
put on that?
first person killed in the Civil War in Greene County.
They call it, you see the addition they put on that church now?
No, I'm afraid to look. This is one of the farmers we learned from. I think this is, what was Wendy's neighbor?
Maud
Maud and John, Johnson. Think. Yeah, he's like, you young folks wanna learn how to do this? This is Wendy Saul's kid, who's now 44, up at the Jacktown Fair. We just couldn't resist. We just loved it here. Oh, this is so cool, because I just wrote about Mather. Well, this is the Mather gob pile that was there till the 80s, and they finally got, when they first started coming out with money to clean up these kind of messes, they got money in 1986 to get rid of the gob pile. But somebody bought it first and got something like $20 million off of cola. Then left the gob, but it was that much shorter. Turkey? Anyone? You can see we were so seasonal, getting into fall. Of course, you know, there's Wesley again. Wendy couldn't resist. Second grade. And this one, anybody see the deer in the picture?
Yes,
Good.
Isn't
yeah.
that cool? That's one of the cool things about driving around here, you can see the deer.
So those calendars are like 30 sometimes 12 images of Greene, in Greene County.
I think,
What's that?
and here we are, every year we go out on the farm and like harvest trees. For Christmas trees, they were really
Yeah.
lopsided. You know, because they were growing in big patches. You know, the government planted them, but you could still get a Christmas tree out of them. So, that was the 1982. Our first one was 1979. And this is this year's calendar. And we finally got around to telling stories about each month, you know, because you know, I'm just lucky to remember most of this stuff. You know, I can't even remember the farmer's name now. But so yeah, so I combine writing with art, trying to do it when people ask me for it. Usually when they ask me for it, it's the right thing to do, and then I do it.
And those calendars are all over the world.
Yeah,
I think they're in the Himalayas,
Oh my gosh.
in London.
yeah. Well, different. It's funny. People will wander away from here and then order a calendar. You know. So, and then this is some of the images we've done here at we have a printing press here at the museum. So these are, you can have one of these. Then, of course, my favorite slogan.
Now when.
Yes. If now, now. If not now, when? A guy named Halil said that. About 3,500 years ago. And this is Greene County map. I hate it because it's a wonderful map, but you run to the edge and you fall off. It's a flat world. I really wish Washington County had a map, but you have to call them up on the phone and they'll maybe mail you one. And Fayette County, I don't even know if they have one.
I don't really think they do.
You know, it's too bad because for it, they always get to put their name on it. But they really come in handy. Well, my last project that I was mentioning to Matt, he might help me do this, might do it with kids, is create the map of the state that everybody that lived here in the 1780s, wanted their own state. They lobbied for their own state. They called the federal government up and they wanted their own state. And they wanted it to be called West Sylvania. And so I'm tracking it down in books. If anybody's ever seen a map of West Sylvania, let me know. And I want to do it as like a big mural and put all the roads on it. And just make it kind of, something to remember. And that way, everything will get connected up. If we could get the funding to get made it up like this, we could say, welcome to West Sylvania, and it could be our tourism draw. Our imaginary state of mind. This is what we always wanted anyway. We could all use it. I'm from West Sylvania.
I like that.
Yeah, I do too. We could have an imaginary state capital. We could fight over it like they did in the past. We could have a civil war. We could seek seed from the Union. I mean, because this is all imaginary lines, right? Well, we should just imagine ourselves in this state of mind, and then do brochures and stuff and convince everybody it's here because we keep talking about it.
No.
Just a thought.
Yeah, there's something in the Constitution.
Yeah.
So has anybody approached you, like, regionally, Greene County, Greene County map, and maybe having some little computers used on?
That was a long
You
time.
could take them
It
to
might be
your
something-
stories, maybe you could have like a short version,
What?
and then people want the longer version, they could go to a longer version.
Well, that.
It'd be a great thing, you've read great stories all over Greene County.
Well, I got enough of them here, if I just take these stories and put them together, and then build the map where you could access them, that is a good idea. Like when she was talking about not having any access and not being able to afford this, that, and the other. Glenn Toothman down here does memory medallions. And they're the same thing, it's a barcode, but it's a little bit, it's like a device, so it's sturdy, you can screw it into the wall. They're called memory medallions, has anybody heard of them?
Something like, Sandy, I think, was talking about something.
Yeah.
She
We
was
have
talking
them
about
at
a
the
barcode. But I think there's a difference, but it's the same.
Yeah.
But the memory medallion actually takes you to your own little web page, okay? And so when you go into it, and then the administrators for that web page can load information into it. We have dozens of them in Greene County. We have them attached to trees. So you just walk up and it talks to you, it shows you pictures. It's pretty advanced. So,
I was down in Gerard's Fort a couple of years ago, and there's something down there.
Yeah.
I ran into
yeah, I
at least
mean,
one.
I think you ought to get Glenn Toothman in here to talk to you next. Because he's the one that did it. That's Farley Toothman's brother. And he has really focused on the Rain Day boys of World War I who all died on Rain Day in France. And so he's done extensive research on that. Him and Candace Buchanan, who's now working for the Library of Congress in the Women's Department. And so we have incredible connections, within us as groups. There's just nothing we can't do if we just talk, hit the right button, and then network, and then help each other out. If we could get little barcodes for her on all those log cabins, it would be awesome. That'd be something worth raising money for. Having a fundraiser. It's something people can relate to. So I think we should stay together more often.
Plus,
And let's stay in touch.
EQT, I've heard, really wants to give money to Washington and Greene right now,
Yeah, 'cause they're looking pretty
since
bad.
they're destroying our environment.
Yeah, well, they need, it's up to us to get them to do it. They're not gonna do it out of the goodness of their heart. There's no byline in their bylaws to do that yet. But I think there is. Most corporations want to give money, but you gotta ask. They're not gonna offer. So we have to just take our smarts and make sure that we help people that aren't computer savvy. We still have that divide. Work with it. And get the kids involved.
Any other questions?
Any questions?
Yes, I have a question. Who did the murals in Brownsville?
Jim Weiler. I mean, do you see the murals in Brownsville?
Yeah.
Jim Weiler did that. And he's the guy that I showed you doing murals. Now I'm calling him on the phone in Chicago, asking him how to fix a mural in Greensboro. You know, so that's what I call a network. You know, once you know somebody that can help you, just call them up.
Where was the mural we saw him working on?
Recently.
Any questions?
What made you get into being an author and
It was total necessity. Necessity is the mother of
It
invention.
is.
You know, I was bored in the house, and so I just said, I'll be a Vista worker. And my kid's old enough to go to preschool, I'm out of here. You know what, here I am. And she's happy because she had to hire a good teacher. And she had his kid to play with. You know, and we had this nice little community that is still happening. You know, it doesn't just stop with us. You know, we're biological. Let's work it.
Where do you live?
Western end of Greene County, Holbrook.
Oh, okay.
Past.
over there.
It's
Yeah,
on the- I know where that is.
And around and
Oh,
up.
you know what's very famous about where we live is I'm on the hill above the Holy Dead. It's in the diorama in Harrisburg. Yeah, and some
Okay.
famous archaeologists were down here digging, and they weren't you. You guys. I forget who they were.
And when was that?
It was in the 80s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, early 80s. Mm-hmm.
More,
Yeah,
I think, I was thinking like
Over
1930s.
Delphine Road.
Yeah, it was off of Delphine Road, and they just took, we watched it, all summer they dug. In fact, I put it in the calendar. I should find that picture and send you a shot of it. You should see the barn in the background. It's, yeah, the Foley farm.
Reinhardt.
Yeah,
It's called Reinhardt Road, Reinhardt.
yeah. Yes.
and this is for you, which you passed out earlier.
Well, you can have it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have stuff here for you to take, just so you can, because like I said, I ended up with extra copies of these. And they're good reading, they're really, at this point, they're historical.
And Colleen, thank you for coming out tonight and speaking for
Oh, it
Lana
was
Chapter
fun.
3 in Greene County. We do appreciate that.
Yeah, well, I'd like to, check with you guys, when I write about the Indians, or the indigenous folks over there in Masontown, because they look a little different than how we were talking about them here. I don't know why.
Colleen, I think you're such a good example of an archaeologist who is learning about stuff besides physically digging.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah,
digging
yeah.
into history and recording it and.
I have an extra one of these if you'd like that. I don't have a ton of these.
Yeah,
but
I want to
to
make
add to
sure Carl
Yeah,
gives one.
you can make copies of that too.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, now that's the book I got to return to this one's the rare one from 1962.
Petroglyphs.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, everybody, thanks for joining us tonight, especially through YouTube.
Petroglyph.
And our next meeting will be announced through Facebook and with the Greene County and
Yeah.
our own
Yeah, I'd say,
means
yeah,
necessarily.
take these. and
Have a
read
great
about
day,
the-
everybody.
some of-
Thanks for
some of
joining
my
us on
argument
YouTube.
history for these two little towns on the river. Because they're two different towns. Yeah.
Dustin asked, that, she was talking.
Yeah, that's a printing
about,
press
people
that
think
they have
about
in
it.
operation.
So-
I know, it's,
Yeah.
no, what we do is we give it away, but you're right about the print, if we could get Dave to cut more wood. And then just get these handmade frames. And, there you go.
Thank you very much, Colleen. It's really interesting.
Well, anything you ever want to have written, let me know. Yeah. And here, since you were here, you can read about Farley's and Shane. You need to get back on Friday, 1 to 8, and I think you really enjoy it. In fact, you might want to have your next meeting there. He opens for occasions.
Okay.
Because I'm meeting around.
I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, it's a fun. Because
We
you will,
saw that, we saw a story about him in the Herald Standard.
That's right, every hour.
That's why we thought he was, it was probably open for lunch as well as dinner.
Yeah, pull it out.
But
No.
we're-
I know the blurb, I have it on my computer.
Two thousand twelve, I think, or 2014.
I think stuff like that is fantastic.
Did he?
And that's the kind of stuff that I like, used to like to do back in the day when I had time too.
Fixing a calendar. Oh. Sorry about your break-in.
Oh, it could have,
That's the first time it happened.
yes, and to my knowledge,